If Christ is dead, then we're all just dead men walking. Grace and peace, everybody, and welcome to Sabbath School Study Group. My name is Chris Bailey, and we are on the road in Arkansas, and we are looking at the resurrection and 1 Corinthians 15, because that is where we'll find hope. When we lose someone or whenever there's death, it's so powerful that even if somebody's reading a text or they're watching or listening to a story about it, you can tell the look on their face. There's this look of confusion. There's this look of loss. And it never really makes sense, even when it may seem inevitable. That's the nature of death. God never wanted us to even know it, much less to understand it. And so that's why a book like 1 Corinthians and this chapter is so powerful, because it doesn't make death something that we can accept, but it does make it something that we can understand, but ultimately overcome. Because in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 13, it says, "But if there be no resurrection of the dead, then is Christ not risen? For if the dead rise not, then is not Christ raised." Now, this is powerful because it's dealing from the principle of the resurrection itself. And is it possible for God to raise somebody from the dead? Because if God can't raise anyone from the dead, then that would include Jesus. So if you go forward in verse 14, if Christ is not risen, then is our preaching in vain, and our faith also is vain. So now you see the domino effect. If there is no resurrection of Christ, then what we believe in, the hope that we have, it's fake. It's a myth. It's just that. It's a hope, and it's impossible for it to be realized. Now, you think that's the last domino, but there's one more that falls. And it's there in verse number 17, where he says, "And if Christ be not raised, your faith is in vain. Ye are yet in your sins." So that just took it from bad to worse. Not only is what we're believing a lie, but the lie is on us as to whether or not we can be truly free from sin. So now let's bring this all together and bring it back. If God can't bring anyone from the grave, then that includes Christ. And if Christ cannot be raised from the grave, then that includes Chris and you. None of us have any hope. But here's the gospel truth. This book is very clear to explain to us the reality of the resurrection, when the resurrection happens, how it happens, and even why. And it happens because we have a God who never intended for us to die, but to live forever. And the only way that we'll truly be able to live forever is if we understand that same God who loves forever.